Welcome back to the MANN channel. Alright, so this video is going to be the 33rd episode of the Wakeboat ownership series. And this video idea came from a couple of places. The first one is my top performing video on my channel is the one where I talk about how you can own a $100,000 boat for $600 a month. And basically I dive into how that is possible with financing. And if you're interested in watching that video, I'll put a link to that video right here. But the second place this idea came from is from Blake. Blake has his own YouTube channel called Blake Days, and he does a lot of similar videos to mine. I think Blake does a really good job of capturing different angles and basically providing helpful information about wake boats or just wakeboarding and wake surfing from a different angle or perspective. So it was his idea that we do two videos together. We publish them on the same day, and they would basically both be in support of each other. So my video will be a discussion about the benefits of financing your toys, which would include wake boats. I'm gonna make my video a little bit more broader to consider really any toy that you might finance, so mostly vehicles, but any toy. And Blake's video, which you should be able to go to right now or after this video, is going to cover the benefits of buying your wake boat or toys with cash. So if you wanna check out his video, I will put a link right here. And for those of you who are watching this video immediately after it's published, I apologize. I do have to wait till his video is published before I can link it. But again, his channel is Blake Days, so you can also search for it. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about why you might want to finance your toys as opposed to paying cash for them. So I've come up with 4 different reasons why you might want to finance your toys. And just to be clear, when I say finance your toys, what I mean is that you are taking out some sort of loan to pay for at least part of your purchase of some sort of vehicle that is a recreational vehicle. It could be a wake boat, could be a motorcycle, could be a UTV, could be an RV, things in that category. Basically those types of vehicles or items that are larger purchases that are not necessities in your life. Although, from my perspective, my wake boat and toys like that are a necessity to my life, and specifically a necessity for enjoying my life, which I believe is a very important part of life. So the first reason you might want to finance or buy your toy is very basic. It is the benefit of owning a toy that you might not be able to own otherwise because maybe you don't have the cash to buy it. That, or the fact that maybe you have the cash to buy it, but you just have that cash set aside for something else. And I think really the main reason why we would finance a toy when we feel like we cannot pay for it with cash is so that we can enjoy it now, while we are young or alive or both. And I'll give you an example of my own experience. There have been several purchases in my life, including a motorcycle, some wave runners, and then several different boats, where I have chosen to finance them because at the time I did not have the cash to buy it outright. Now at the same time I did have cash that I could have used to buy a used version of that, an older used version, but I thought it was important to take advantage of newer features and I guess more life in the vehicle so that I could have more fun now. So for me, financing those items was a way for me to have fun with those items at an earlier age than I might be able to afford them with cash. So the second benefit I am listing for financing your toys would be to build your credit. I was personally able to build my credit from a couple of different loans when I was at a pretty young age. The first loan I ever obtained was for my 1983 F-150, and I was 17 at the time, and I had a job. My parents had to co-sign that for me to guarantee the loan, but it started to help build my credit. Now that wasn't a toy, that was more of a necessity because I needed something to drive. But I followed up about a year later and I financed a dirt bike. And I had to have my parents co-sign that for me as well. And ever since those two loans, I have never had to have somebody co-sign for me again because I had built enough credit to get my own loans. Even for people who might be able to buy those things with cash, chances are, and I would say probably 95% of people will probably need a loan at some point in time. It would be a good idea, even if you have the cash to buy something like a dirt bike, maybe you should get a loan on it just to build up your credit and just make sure you make payments on time and stick to that loan schedule, and that will build your credit. Because most lenders will base their decision on whether or not they're going to lend you money and the rate that you're going to get, and basically the cost of the loan. They're going to base that off of your loan experience or your credit report / credit score. And your credit score and your credit report are built by having loans and paying them on time. The third benefit I'm listing for financing your toys is building a relationship with a lender. Now, this one I wouldn't say is top priority because I've dealt with many lenders over the years, but I do think it's a benefit. I've taken several vehicle loans and several mortgages from one specific lender, and that has helped me to obtain future loans from that same lender more easily because they understand my credit. We have a relationship. I've basically made them money, so they see me as a good person to offer credit to or to offer loans to. So that can be a huge benefit, especially if you own a business or something to that effect, because when a business goes to a bank, especially a small business, and they're asking for a loan, a lot of times it's much harder for a bank to understand the full scope of the business and its capabilities to pay back a loan unless you have some sort of prior relationship with that lender. So building a relationship with a lender is a benefit of financing. And last but not least, and I would say this is probably the most important benefit to financing once you figure this out, is that maybe the cash that you have that you're thinking about buying your toy with, it might do better in a certain investment. This is something that might come later in life. You might have to have a financial advisor, you might have to have some investing experience or just understand a few things about investing. But in a lot of cases, there are investment opportunities for your cash where your return on investment is better than the interest you're paying on a loan. And in that scenario, I can tell you personally, I'd rather have my cash making me more money than I'm spending on my loan, as opposed to using my cash to pay for that toy, and then I'm missing out on the return on investment I could be receiving if my cash was invested. And I'll try to give you an example in this. Let's say that you have $50,000 and you're thinking about buying a $50,000 toy. Okay, so you have $50,000 cash, and some people might think, why would I get a loan? But think about this. Let's say that you have loan terms offered of maybe 20-year term, and it's going to be $300 a month, and your interest rate is something like 4%. In that scenario, you'd be paying roughly $166 a month in interest. That's where you would start. It would come down from there based on a typical amortization schedule. Now let's think about if you had $50,000 invested in something that gave you an average return of 6 to 8%. And let's just take the low end of that. So what you got to do is you got to take that rate and divide it by 365 or 360, depending on how the loan works. So I usually default to 365. And then to get a monthly figure, you're going to take that and multiply it times 30. And obviously, depending on the month, there might be more or less days in there, but 30 is a pretty good average. So in that scenario, if you're earning 6% on your $50,000, then you're earning roughly $246 a month, as compared to paying $166 a month. So in that scenario, as long as you can handle the payment, why wouldn't you want to make money off your cash while you have it invested and take a loan out on the toy that you want? Now that's just one example. There are many examples you could make of this, and obviously you have to find an investment that will make you more than what you would be paying on a loan to make that work. And also, when you're thinking about taking out a loan or doing financing, you want to make sure you have enough equity in your asset or that toy, whatever it is, that if for some reason you got in a bind and you had to sell it, that you're not selling it for less than what you owe on it. So my suggestion is that you always put down a certain percentage, where it was somewhere between 10 and 20%. I'd say 10 being the least, but try to gauge that as best you can so that you're not making yourself upside down. And upside down would just mean that you end up having to sell your item for less than what your loan is, and then you end up without the item and still paying on a loan. So those are the 4 main benefits I came up with for financing your toys. and reasons why you might want to do that. If you want to know the benefits of paying with cash, make sure to check out Blake Day's video on his channel. And also, if you have thoughts on this subject, or you have more benefits you want to list for financing, or if you just want to say why you like to finance or why you don't like to finance, make sure to leave that in the comments below. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and click that notifications bell so you'll be notified of my future videos. I'll see you next week.